All right, Charles, I want to get back to you. Guys are working on an interesting story on medical marijuana and the support it seems to have in the state. What has changed since the last time this was on the ballot?
Well, there was a new poll, a recent poll that found that maybe Florida voters are starting to have a change of heart about this topic, and we bring in Scott Powers. Can I call you our marijuana expert?
Careful.
That may be a lot more than I like to imply at this point.
Well, definitely working on a variety of stories regarding this topic, and most recently, Florida voters. This is a pretty convincing poll number.
Yeah, it is. The Quinnipiac poll found that 87% of registered voters in Florida are now ready to vote yes for a medical marijuana amendment. They need 60% to be approved, and so this is way above that, and certainly gives John Morgan and his crew a lot of wiggle room as they try and get this on the ballot and campaign for it next fall.
So perhaps maybe a little surprising is the fact that voters even favor recreational use now, at least slightly based on this poll.
That's right. The same poll also asked about whether people would support legalizing recreational marijuana. 51% said yes. Now on the flip side, 65% said they would never touch the stuff. But the 35% that didn't say that might explain some of the other numbers we saw in that poll.
Sure. So it was on the ballot in 2014, failed to get the 60%, but it most likely will come up again next year.
Right. John Morgan and his group, United for Care, is out there now passing petitions to try and get it back on the ballot. It's a pretty good bet they're going to pull that off.
So the state does have a limited medical marijuana law right now, but the hope is for it to be expanded.
Those people in the industry certainly want it expanded. Yeah, right now, products that are very low in THC, which is the chemical that gets people high, but very high in another chemical called CBD, which has some medicinal effects, will be coming onto the market probably in the next few months. The state is about ready to announce which companies are going to be able to grow, process, and sell those products.
So attitudes changing, Amy. 87% of Florida voters are in favor of it now.
Yeah, it's fascinating because I remember back, and I'm sure, Scott, you remember this too, back when we first started polling this, long before it got on the ballot the first time, remember, I want to say it was like at 80 or 90%. It was something outrageous of people who said they were in favor of it, and then it came to election day, and all of a sudden it doesn't pass. So it kind of makes you wonder how reliable these polls are.
Right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. One of the first polls done last year had it at about 80%. And it steadily dropped, especially as the opponents began their campaign, which was very aggressive and very, very strong. Starting at 87% this year, that's a little higher than that now. And what's more interesting is the fact that there was only 1% undecided. So there's not a lot of people out there that are claiming that they haven't made a decision on it.
And Scott, opponents would argue that perhaps the poll question wasn't similar to what was on the ballot, and that's why you have a discrepancy.
There are a couple of differences. For example, the poll question asked for medical marijuana use by adults. The ballot issue would actually, and the current law would actually allow children to use some products. And this was a big factor in the opposition campaign last year. And when they started raising the idea of youngsters and teenagers having access to these products, the poll numbers fell pretty quickly.
Yeah, it seemed to change things for people. All right, it's really fascinating. So I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot more about that.